Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 15 of Illium, our modded Cities 1 build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Our Brooklyn and Queens area settled in very nicely last episode, and indeed pushed us over the threshold for a new tile, indeed, which will be opening today. As in this episode, we're working on possibly what is one of my favourite projects in any of my series, the downtown road network frame. And this time, we have some mods available to do some rather spicy things, which will include multiple layers of elevation. A continuous flow intersection will also feature within the downtown frame as well, alongside adding all our transit networks in. Trains, monorail, trams and metro will all feature, with lots of grid planning and fun designs available. So let's plan out downtown, shall we? A happy Monday to you all. Welcome back to Illium, everyone. So everyone, welcome to downtown, at least our first episode here, because we will be spending many of them. Let's open up this tile, very important piece for us. And how far is our next one? Just out of interest. There's another tile at the next milestone, which is 11,000 away. There'll be easily that many people in the downtown. So let's talk about this space here. So downtown Illium is going to be quite the project. Now previously in Cities series, when we've come to downtown, the skyline is almost one definitive episode. It was in Rannoch, Orchid Bay, kind of that big peak. In Illium, we're going to do things quite differently. We're going to be having downtown and the skyline itself made up of several different individual builds. For example, this space here, moving into much more of a modular format, is going to be our central transit hub. Right? Perhaps in a space by the waterfront, we can isolate a World Trade Center plaza. And slowly but surely, we will piece together these cubes and grids and blocks of downtown as the skyline slowly forms over many episodes, which should be quite different compared to what we're normally used to here. So that's my plan with the downtown at least, but let's get stuck into it, shall we? So we mentioned a very exciting continuous flow interchange at the start of the episode. So the couplet is going to merge to be not couplet for a bit. I'm just going to knock it back to highway road. I also want it to be closer together here as well, because this is eating up quite a lot of real estate in downtown. So we'll narrow things down a little bit here. This will also come back because we have to find a new merging point for this. Back into the couplet, probably back to here to be honest. And then we'll work things out from this node. Or that couplet can also go. So these interchanges look absolutely fantastic, especially with lots of node controller work around them. They allow the left turn and the through traffic to go at the same time because of the way they're configured. And they just look fantastic. So this is what we'll do today. So I'm going to come into my chosen node. This is going to be this one right here, with full 5-lane asymmetry. With our 3 A-sided asymmetrical facing into the intersection on all sides, which will give us something that looks a little bit like this. Then we want to grab our small roads and we want to grab the asymmetrical 3-lane. And then from here we'll turn off road bending and we want to be a measurement of 11 units, which is that grid tile right there, from this central node, okay? And with the asymmetry facing into the junction again. And we want to repeat that on every side where the 2-lane asymmetry is. So another one here, find 11 units. Same down here again too. One more grid down there. And that's our final one. Which obviously looks pretty scary right now. More things are going to get better. Let's come into node controller. And we'll open this up. Right? And, first of all, let's just push everyone off. We'll square it just so we can actually see what's happening in the middle here. So for our outer smaller asymmetrical nodes, in which case for us is green, red, pink and purple. We can identify these here. A common technique we've done before in node controller is just to shift the different sides off. We've done it across loads of little suburban roads. And this is a much more extreme example of that, of course. I'm going to go for -24 on each of these junctions. Yumble has a fantastic video on this intersection, thoroughly explaining why it's set up with lots of different things around it. If you haven't checked him out, definitely do so. He has lots of fantastic, very modded intersections that can really spice up your road network planning. So now we're aligned, so that shifting of all these nodes down here has just put them parallel with those big 5-lane asymmetrical roads that form the main node here. We can hit square, and then this will for everyone to be flat. I'm going to mess with some offsets as well. I'm going to bring the primary road nodes all down to 40. And then these smaller ones, off till they're about happy, I'm going to go for 47, I think, on that one. Each one can be slightly different. This is a pretty advanced node controller setup here. But we can have a lot of fun with it. It'll really add to the downtown network, I think, once it's all sat in an intersection marked up. So 45 meters for me. Now we still have this tear in here. This is just because we have a slightly too close a segment here. So just by holding control, we can get a finer movement. And then we'll see it'll just tear. Or I guess untear, I suppose. And then once we hit square here, we're going to snap into position like this. Now we do have some nodes here that are too close to my intersection. So we're going to drag that back. And then there's also another one here as well. Cool. And then one final square. Once we're all happy with our nodes. Yep, that's one segment there. And then we're all happy. So that gives us the configuration of a continuous flow interchange. It's not obviously connected in anywhere. And if you want my final node controller readings there, because this can be extremely sensitive. I've had to mess about with this off camera for quite a while to get it to actually work. The move it trick with the roads can really help with the tearing. That's something that I struggled with quite a lot. With vanilla roads. Might be better with custom roads if you have a road pack. But otherwise, I could shrink it here, but honestly I kind of like how massive it is. It really adds to the downtown, especially when this is going to be surrounded by skyscrapers and stuff as well. So I think I'm happy with it. I think we'll go with this. Super. So that gives us a plugged in continuous flow intersection. There's a few more things to set up here. But we'll also talk about what's going to happen with the couplet system as well, because this is quite important. So the couplet system will become essentially two-way. I'm going to plug this in here. That's not too bad an angle. We could shift it all over a little bit. Be a sort of difference, but it'll help. There's already a two-way network here, so we can blend this into a eventual grid, which we'll get to. So with our lane connectors, we'll come into TMP, grab these. So we'll talk about one side, and then all sides are essentially mirrored because it's the same every intersection. And this first right-hand lane comes into this junction here. These two central lanes go straight across. Just like so. And then these left two lanes come in to the left side over here. That's essentially how it looks, and we can just repeat this on all three sides. That's our lane connector configuration. You see how every direction is served here. Actually looks quite pretty as well. And we should be good to actually hit play now. Although this side isn't connected in here, although technically it is. We'll come to do that in the wider grid. Let's just watch this flow first. We want to turn off some traffic lights as well. Now you can put time traffic lights on these things. I'm never usually a player for time traffic lights. I just don't get too much use out of them. But you can go for that system here if you want to. Yeah, let's also not forget the other end of the highway, which we'll briefly tuck in, just so it's not sat here on its own. Yeah, this will be changing this episode, don't worry. That won't remain the same. So we can watch it go. And see what happens as people choose to move around this. It's a really fun example of what node controller can do for you. Like how much more interesting is this than like this, you know? And we'll probably do a few instances of these. I guess what we can call mega intersections. That will sit most likely around downtown Illium. Isn't it fun to watch them all come off onto that separate turn? And then they all go. It's a very satisfying intersection to watch. Of course, this backfires and it ends up getting horrendously busy. But I think I'd actually enjoy that, you know? I think I'd enjoy watching this just like rammed on all kind of like, I guess, 7 lanes here as one continual network really, isn't it? 8 lanes even. So it's a very dramatic intersection. Very American, very big, very wide, lots of tarmac. But it'll be a lot of fun, I think. We'll enjoy that. Oh yes, I could just we'll intersection mark this up, of course, during our detone time lapse. Let's bring in some lane directors for them and whatnot. But that'll start flowing. Now let's turn our attention to some public transit that's going to sit in here. This monorail line is almost, I think, begging just to be brought onto this island here, isn't it? And we'll have it pass over the continual flow intersection, which will just give it just another layer of loveliness, I think, won't it? It is going to clip with a bit of modern art. I'm not playing with network skins, so I can't get rid of that, unfortunately. Well, that's okay. And then where do we want you to go? I was wondering if you wanted to cut across the intersection. Because there's no point in it going in this direction, because there's already one there. Yeah, okay, I think we'll do that instead. Be extremely careful not to accidentally delete any networks of the continuous flow interchange, everyone. I am incredibly scared of doing that today. That can go over the hills and far away. And then we will selectively delete some pillarage here. Cool. And this is all surrounded by towers, everyone. I think it'd be just a little bit of yes please, won't it? Seeing that monorail integration coming in downtown Illium. Now I mentioned that I want to keep the couplet system kind of still included within the downtown road network frame. And I think I'd like to do that either via some elevation or bridging. So what I mean by that is this is going to continue. The cycling won't continue this side because I can't get cycle lanes in there. We don't have the networks and official assets to do that. What I would like to do is bring out this cycle network. So we're about there. We'll connect that in and then break it here. Just so we have a 90-degree trajectory to this current structure. We could turn some of this into bridge segment, but that might really mess with the interchange. So I think I'm more inclined to tunnel this road. So come down to -7 at 9 units. And then it'll carry on over this way. This should all still be perfectly aligned here as well. Near enough. No, I guess it won't be, was it? We drew that in. That wasn't part of the frame already. And then that'll carry on. So basically meet up with this highway again, which is also going to downgrade into that road hierarchy system that we're building here. So you can see now how the couplet is going to maintain its position, but also kind of intersect with bidirectionality around the downtown road grid as it passes through. It's better to say. Super. So let's bring that tunnel down so it's not mounding up like that. Super. So while that all continues to run, let's bring in some more connecting roads, what already exists around here. This can come down into this area. Now, this area on the waterfront is going to be transit hub and kind of business plaza center, basically. And we need to upgrade the roads through here. So first of all, an asset that's going to feature that we have to get in already is of course going to be the central station. So I'll place some transit assets today. We're not detailing them at all or bringing them a wider build around them, but just placing them for planning purposes at this point. So we'll have our glass box train station. I guess I should really align it with the tracks because that's what's defining the build here. Something like that. And then we'll go, hello people, on 180 degrees, pretty much. Right, we'll bring all these in for right now because I want to find out what platform the intercity stations or trains are arriving at. So as long as they're all connected, yes they are. Yeah, we'll see which one they turn up at. This road out front we'll do something quite interesting with. I'm going to grab a one-way bus lane. Or bus road. I actually wonder what is your connection sensitivity we can get here with the station. That's connected. That's good for me. We'll come off grid and back to road guideline as we want to connect into that. This can also be one-way bus road. Meet the old house. And then this here can be quite important avenue. I think we'll go for something tree and grassline median. As it comes back up to the intersection there. We'll also go for a slightly more grandiose tree down here as well. Super. So we've now got some other networks to play with. Metro now enters the equation, our first elevated line of the city. And let's see where we want this to go. I think I wouldn't mind if the monorail was going to diverge off the couplet here and serve this build with whatever lies here. Plus there's already metro under here anyway with the underground line. We can see the tunnel there actually in the terrain. I think this metro is going to kind of mimic the curve, or mirror it rather, and then come off and down to service builds along the highway. Which should also take quite a bit of pressure off of the highway network if this monorail or metro is now running alongside it and stopping at various instances, also giving us another layer of course. So another asset I want here, and something that we actually shown off in one of the Patreon exclusive teasers at the start of the series, was the introduction of another hub to sit alongside this building. And this is the Metro Monorail train hub, which is such a complementary asset to the networks we already have in Illium. And I would love to try and find a way to piece this together. So I think the only orientation we can go for... Where's the end of the rail line here? But can I line up those buffers? That'll give me exactly what I want. Oh, no, not that. So this asset we want. Yeah, so something like that. We can actually see the catenaries there, can't we, in the station? I'm being very pedantic about this. But it'll be worth it. There we go. That's bang on level. And we're not colliding there either. Isn't that just a wonderful join-in for increasing just the footprint of our major transit centre here? Which of course will come many plaza and other intricate designs here. We'll give it a basic road connection for right now, but I imagine a lot of this is going to be pedestrian. I wouldn't also mind having this metro tram hub with road present. The underground line, and then again we could converge it here. Don't think we're going to use the downtown metro plaza in Illium, because we used it in Orchid Bay and Rannoch. I feel like we should maybe give it a rest and use some other assets, because we don't have a ton of underground metro. So I feel like it might be a bit overkill. Let's place this here. And then we'll decide, let's just pause this tram line for a hot second. I'll decide exactly just how I want this to fit here. I'm going to keep setting all the buildings to the same height. There is going to be some terrain differences here, I believe. Let's address that now, because we'll likely do a lot of retaining wall feature if anything becomes too horrific, such as that one right there can't be done. That's our limit. We'll have to blend some of that in down there. And our line station, I'd like it centrally. I think it'd be rude not to, right? Thankfully the metro line shows up, which is the dead center of the asset. I'm happy with that. And then will you come in here on 90 degrees? Yes, you will. Actually keeping your grid as well. Wasn't that a perfect alignment, everyone? I'll never do that again. And then this can carry on. This will come into downtown Illium with towers and residentials to be serviced by that. And I reckon I might use a few of these stations along this road, actually. And we'll just let tram and metro serve each other. But we do still need a turnaround point. There we go. Can stop both sides. And then we'll have some roads just connecting here, but again, the central transit hub build will feature pedestrian areas, detailing buildings and fusing and whatnot as we construct that space. But now we've got all our transit networks sorted here. So the metro does block the monorails here. Now that's not the end of the world, because we can bring them in huge loops to eventually plug in there. And then possibly keep this one on the waterfront in a similar trajectory, serving this space before it U-turns back into here. But I do want to try something first before I do that, because it isn't super far from clearing. It is obviously colliding if we were to test it here. But like there is an inch of clearance. So it's not out of the realms of possibility we can get it to fit. The way we would do that is by bringing this node down in the middle, which means bringing the building down. Which I'm not averse to. We'd have to obviously have the roads respect that on the front. And that's not too horrific. And then that final node can also come down, which would allow us to clear it. We can then immediately bring it up. I can obviously relocate this road. That's not set in stone. And then it can rise back to its normal level as it comes back out of their station and carries on in different directions. Let's also bring the nodes in front down there as well and just get a little bit more of a visual impression as to how this recession might actually sit into the build. It is excellent layering, and a monorail will clear that now. Okay, I'm going to go for it. Bear with it, everyone. I know a lot of you might be writing a lot of very angry comments right now, but give it time. Trust the process. We'll get it there. Let's bring this up. We'll worry about gradients and finer collisions during the deturn time-lapse, although that does happen to fit. And then this monorail friend can join our old line that sits all the way down here. I do have something planned for this monorail line, but we'll get to that likely when we get to probably the Trade Center Plaza build, I imagine. But we're a hot minute from that just yet. Right now it can do that. It's not too badly graded already, to be honest, is it? Let's get it flowing, because it actually connects now, which is tremendously exciting. So you, come all the way over here. Don't forget to add the stop spot that we took. While we wait for that monorail to arrive and hopefully get quite excited by it, we'll address the front of the station again. I would still like to use the one-way bus roads. That does count as connected there. So we can have a lot of concrete and plaza front at the front of this configuration. And honestly, that kind of works right now, actually. Doesn't it? Maybe we don't even need the road coming down from under here. We'll just have it as a bus turn loop here. Could even just fully pedestrianize it and have it as a bus pedestrian road. But we'll worry about that in the final build. For right now, at least the building's connected. With buskers coming up and down here, do we have a... Maybe that road's possibly more appropriate. Maybe this one. 6 lanes perhaps feels a touch dramatic for the end of a road, but it's coming into wide intersections anyway. Continuous flow is still handling the intercity traffic wonderfully, isn't it, everyone? Without the timed traffic light. That was my biggest thing about building this without the timed lights, is would it sustain? But it seems to be behaving itself for the most part, doesn't it? As I say that. Traffic begins to build. Immediately. Fantastic. But wonderful news. Here we go. Moment of truth, everyone. There we go. The intercity trains are arriving too. Oh, yeah. Isn't that cool? That's going to look so good when all this space around it is detailed and we've got people walking underneath it as well. Holy smokes, everyone. Hello, people. Where are you coming from? You all alright? Swarming, aren't you? So tourists now arriving via Central Station. And all walking as well. Ah, they're all coming to the monorail. Look at that. Oh, isn't that good already? So many of them heading straight to that monorail station. I'm so happy to see Illium's monorail getting absolutely leathered every week. Seems to be pulling off, doesn't it? Okay, cool. That's that sorted there. We will also connect in that metro line as well and get that flowing, because I imagine we'll probably get some people also wanting to utilize that back to Arcus Hills. It's the new metro line that will likely continue to have quite a lot of stations and changes to it as we continue here. But let's turn our attention to here. I just want some basic grid frames to map out this space here as it expands in density from our medium developments last episode. So let's time-lapse that up here. So just some nice grid here, general space filler, quite tight zoning, not too much space between zoning, but a lot of this downtown's going to be plopped, I imagine. But always the option to zone some outline medium density residential if we need it. And then just some new 4-lane hierarchy roads establishing back to current arterials over down this way. We'll bring this road out up here in a second. Now I want to turn my attention toward this little waterfront area here. Where we'll go with key upgrades. We'll go for content creator keys, of course. Then we'll do the simple city key here. So we could also node control these off as well, which I think I will. I think I'm after the very sleek, modern, sharp look. Not everywhere, maybe. Maybe just on some corners we'll sharpen them off. I think it can look a bit much if you do it everywhere. This road here we'll keep in, we'll just upgrade. We'll go for grassland. Lots of really nice designs around here with larger assets, of course, come the waterfront builds. Connect it in where it makes sense, and we'll likely have something out here to respect the monorail. We're also talking about transit around the hub. Let's bring in the next ferry stop as well. So we could go... Do we have any ferry hubs we want to possibly squeeze in? Now the harbours. I wouldn't mind one of those here. It would start bringing some boats down the channel for us. It's too wide to go here, isn't it? I think it would definitely sit in line with the central station, probably. I'm not sure. We're here for ferries, though, so let's do that. There's a ferry and bus exchange here. And that looks like it might actually fit in there perfectly with the current bus configuration we've already drawn in, which isn't one of the finest moments of sits and fits we've had, everyone. I'm not sure what is. Unlocking this network shouldn't cause any issues. Can't actually seem to get it with network multi-tool for some reason. Nice. Let's delete these nodes as well so they don't clash. And then we'll plug this new network into the asset and then immediately relock it with the network multi-tool. That can break a hub sometimes, replacing network, I've found, so be careful with it if you do it quite a lot. So this will just be, like, look at all this already. Well, let me give you a pathway. Again, I'm not going to build it today, but I'll save you your journey time at least. This is possibly going to be the best transit hub we've ever done when this is detailed, you know. I know I've mentioned that a lot today, but I'm very excited. Very excited indeed. And then the other hub. Where do we want you? It's part of the industrial port, maybe? I think maybe on Suburbia. Yeah, let's try another little stop. I mean, it plugs in and sits there, does it? Those you might have to go away. There you go. And then we'll get this hooked in. Of course, another new ferry line. And then we will also drag this up to the station, so it's also connected. Super. So that should be very exciting to see how busy that gets. Yet another way back into for them across the water should they need it. We'll let it run for a little bit. But I like how this is looking. This is going to be such a cool transit centre when it's done. Lots more bus convergence here as well. I will likely span out several different downtown buses from this hub for individual builds. Right, let's turn our attention back toward the couplet system now. So this is going to be quite interesting. So I want to keep it on this straight trajectory because this is going to form a load of new grid frames for us. We're going to grab all the nodes of this road here. So actually just come down to nodes. Just set them to a uniform height against this terrain. Let's bring them down to the same height as this road network here. And then the same for the bunch of these nodes. It's going to eat into this cliff we've got on the right a little bit more, but that's no problem really. And then let's just do a touch of terrain work here while we're near the more gnarly side of downtown. So we can see here that there is like a natural terrain layer I would love to have in the grander scheme of downtown as it continues to grow out. For this couplet system to remain elevated, kind of above the rest of the city. I think that would be such a cool visual from especially the waterfront as well. So let's downgrade all of this to one-way cycling 3-lane. And then this road, we'll merge this back into 4-lane from its asymmetrical continuous flow setup. And then we'll find a better place for the couplet system to merge back in. Maybe we can actually mark this out with one of these downtown roads. It probably allows us to switch the grid a little nicer as well. So there is where one-way couplet will resume as it goes through the rest of the city centre down there. So hopefully this is starting to give you a bit of a realisation now of the scale of downtown Illium as to how much space this is going to take up. Hence why we can't do it in one episode. Because this skyline is going to flow monstrously with lots of density around this whole coastline here. With so many different networks clearly passing through it. But otherwise, I think we're at a good point for a detailing time lapse. I'm going to do the same thing over here that we did in this corner, just expand the grid around its arterial system so it's ready for building. Keylining where we need it. Lots of terrain work to do with gradiating all this stuff. A little bit more road network over here. Probably chuck in some more metro stops along this line that's running on the ground as well. And then a big intersection marking tool session for our big central continuous flow interchange. And I'll probably get this monorail plugged in down there as well. So we can at least see it flowing in today's episode. But either way, let's detail and expand our downtown road network ideas for Illium, and then we'll be right back. Alright everyone, let's just have a little, I guess, expansion review of what we've done during our time lapse here as we prepare downtown Illium. I brought in all the train lines. Our intercity train, there you go, perfect timing, is arriving right here. So we know that it's central platform. We won't ever put a train on this one, we'll just allow this to keep accepting intercity trains, which is bringing enormous amounts of people in. As they emerge out of here one day, they'll come into towers. There's Monorail leaving. Ferries are getting quite busy again, of course. The repeating story of Illium. 116 at this one, with 160 at this one. And then these other ones, 181, and 477, 534 here. Crazy busy, that one. Over this way, I need to actually change the policy here, don't I? Let me do this very quickly. We want to deliver everything here. I'll just make sure that is within our pedestrian district. So that'll just ensure that all buildings in the area get cargo delivery and garbage service via service points. I hadn't done that. Policy, I often forget is there, to be honest. So thanks for the comments on that. We've finally got it now. Back to the hub. The metro might extend along the coast one day. I have also prepared bus to come in here along a whole keyed waterfront, which will hold many different builds as the city develops. Monorail also comes down here as well. I'm envisioning a possible airport here. Might reclaim these coves and build the airport around this way. In which case, I would be much more inclined to bring a metro line down there as well, as an express to the airport possibly. People are walking everywhere. The second monorail line also comes out from here now as well. People are just about walking under that, so lots of fun layering going on around this whole hub. And there's also a few people catching metro as well, which you'll enjoy. So of course that's heading back to Arcus Hills underground. So you can just imagine how insane this is possibly going to get once you have people living, working here. Lots of tourism and pretty much tons of unique buildings. So very exciting. The monorail comes out here over our intersection. The intersections around it have been very basically marked up, with a little bit more fun and games, also using the cracks and the voids within the yellow grid, just to guide people around the intersection. It's very impressive. There has been actually some fun spawnings of new pillars. Let's get rid of that. But yeah, super fun intersection, isn't it? Lots of mirrored frontage road also available here as well, of course, which will get loads of residential in here, towers, people just living in the orbit of this massive intersection, which is about as wide as the downtown itself. Really nice, done some roadies and palms around the edge of it. And then also some fillers here as well to guide people on those right turns. Because it's not super busy yet, especially with the expanded grid around it. There's many different ways for people to move around now. A lot of that cycling infrastructure also getting picked up as well. But yeah, it will get busier, of course, as people move in and out of downtown, but for right now, it's working like a dream. Don't forget to check out Yumble's video on this. He explains it much better than I do, and why the turns are set up the way they are, and the time traffic light system, which I never really play with time traffic lights in CS, to be honest. I just don't really get the use out of them. But if you want to get even more involved in the traffic management, then you can do that as well. Yumble will be linked down below. Go and check out his continuous flow design. Really, really fun stuff. And I think we'll use a few more kind of mega intersections. Maybe as the downtown continues to expand here. Another something perhaps more interesting we can do with the downtown road frame moving into these tiles. As it begins to link back up to this stuff over here. Once this next set of tile boundaries opens. So expect us to do some more fun things with that, I think, as the city progresses. It might not be super accurate in terms of markings, but I really like it. It's very over-the-top IMT. It just adds so much to the city, doesn't it, right? Just incredible. I could look at this forever. Just watching people drive around it. Yeah, really fun episodes, I think, can come in as we build around this particular bit of road. There's 3 different pathways linking people back and to. Of course, there's no real reason for them to walk over here yet. But one day, we imagine this will get quite busy and spicy. Don't really want tons of pedestrians crossing on the intersection itself. So bridges and tunnels will make use of that. And then our couplet system flows through. We've got our trains all boxed in here as well with retaining wall. All comes down and back onto the national line. So we can send quite a lot of trains out across Illium, and I want to make sure we at least use all of the platforms once, which is quite the challenge. But we've already got one over here, I guess. We'll have trains going pretty much everywhere else across the map, maybe one out to this peninsula. Would make a good first-person tour one day, wouldn't it? So, yeah, and you can see how much space this initial downtown road frame is already taking up as we come in here. Monorail just extends. Likely this station will change. We can already see there's people using it to get back towards Brassat Park Stadium over there. And then there's all grid that we saw. Leads us back into a bit of a review of our old episode, or the previous episode. Everything that happened here is all still pretty much fine. Lots of nice walking porn through here. We had a ton of it over by the town centre, didn't we, here by the bus stops. Yes, it's fantastic. It looks like there's beginning to... Oh, yes, they have made a dent in that backlog. That was really busy last episode. Looks like those extra buses are spacing out across the line now. With all that metro flowing around. Isn't that wonderful? For such a small hub, that's so insanely busy. So a sign of wonderful public transit integration. As this build looks out over this beast of an area over here, doesn't it? Really can't wait to get stuck into downtown, everyone, which will definitely be our subsequent episodes, I think. But otherwise, let's thank you all so much for watching. I always love these builds. I really find that building downtown's kind of a separate project from the rest of the city. Getting the roads and the infrastructure down first really helps me just visualize the process, and I think also manage the traffic a little bit better as well. Hopefully you've walked away with some inspiration as to how Node Controller and intersection marking tool can make these particular episodes much more interesting, with things like continuous flow intersections. You can do a bow tie as well if you want. We did that in Ilos quite a few years ago. I think maybe we will bring in another bow tie intersection at some point, because they're really fun as well. Super big, wide, stretched nodes with lots of IMT. It definitely belongs within the downtown. Otherwise, an enormous shout out to the YouTube members and patrons bankrolling these videos, with a roll call to our golden patronex: Casino, Spartan Angel, Michael W, Bad Wolf, Phoenix MD, Blythe, Jamin, and Great C. If you want to get involved in that, links down below to Patreon Insta Gaming. Always the best way to support the channel, and a like for free does wonders for these videos. Enjoy the cinematics, and I'll shut up and leave it there. Well, thank you all so much indeed for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.